चरण सरोज रज निज मनु मुकुर सुधारी। बरनौ रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फल चारि। बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरो पवन कुमार। बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरहु कलेश बेकार। जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर जय कपीस तिहु लोक उजागर। रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा। महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवारि सुमति के संगी। कंचन बरन बिराज सुबेशा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केशा। हाथ वज्र औ ध्वजा बिराजे कांधे मूज जनेहु साजे। शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन। विद्यावान गुणी अति चातुर राम काज करिबे को आतुर। प्रभु चरित्र सुनि बेको रसिया राम लखन सीता मन बसिया। सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा। भीम रूप धरि असुर संहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे। लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुबीर हरषि उर लाए। रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि सब भाई। सहस बदन तुम रोजस गावे अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे। सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा। जब कुबेर दिगपाल जहाते कभी कौबिद कहि सके कहते। तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपत दीन्हा। तुम्हरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश घर भय सब जग जाना। जुग सहस्त्र जो जन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मैली मुख माहि जलधि लागी गए अचरज नाहि। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी शरणा तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज सम्हारो आपे तीनों लोक हाकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग पर ताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हरे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हरे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघु बरपुर जाहि जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई, और देवता चित्त न धरहि, हनुमत से ही सर्व सुख करहि। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा, जो सुमिरे हनुमत बलबीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई, कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ करे कोई, छूटहि बंधि महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा, होवे सिद्ध साकी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा, की जय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। की जय नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तने संकट हरन, मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित, हृदय बसो सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय, पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय। बोलो रे भाई सब संतन की जय। जय श्री राम, जय श्री कृष्ण, जय हनुमान। Currently, we are on the 11th verse of chapter 2, where Shri Krishna, the blessed Lord, our Bhagwan, has actually started giving the Geeta Updesh, right? And last class, we tried to understand the difference between our body and us. The word that we can use is the difference between Shariri and the Sharir, where Sharir is the body and Shariri is us who reside in the body. Just like we are not the house we live in, we are not the body we live in. We try to understand this with the story of Puranjana and how he forgot his divine friend and got lost in the world of senses. Engulfed by Maya, he started believing that he is Puranjani. He is going through the pain. He is going through the joy. Later, he was reborn as a woman, and again the cycle began. And finally the Lord intervened and said, Avignata, he said, कब तक उलझे रहोगे? कब तक भटकते रहोगे? मुझे भूल गए क्या तुम? And over here, again, a humble reminder, when we are studying Geeta or trying to understand Geeta, see, beyond a point, understanding the Lord is not possible. We can love Him, but it is okay. Initially, when we are trying to understand Geeta, we have to remember that Geeta was a part of a big Granth, Mahabharata, and it was revealed almost towards the end of Geeta. So a lot of lessons should have been learned before reading Geeta. Now what we tend to do is, we tend to take Geeta as an isolated unit, right? And then we say that Geeta builds on, right? From one chapter to another chapter, it is building on. ऐसा नहीं है. In fact, first chapter to where the Lord starts in the second chapter is a gist of all the agonies that we go through. And one more thing that I would like to bring to your notice is that it is not only Arjun who is a great tapasvi, who has actually taken over Nidra and has control over his senses, so much so that the Lord thinks he is a patra, he is actually fit to be given the Gita Gyan too. In fact, we should be very lucky. Each one of us who is listening to this, who's been given a chance by the Lord to understand this, is lucky. No doubt there has been great tapasya in our life to reach this. Otherwise, it is not possible to reach this Granth also. So now that we are here, we are as good as a tapasvi as Arjun was. And where is the tapas? We might think that in the current lifetime, we haven't done any tapas. We have just about started. And that is the biggest problem, isn't it? Current lifetime, the moment right now, or the near past and the near future, are not our only existence. We have been, we will be, and we are. Just like he does not get destroyed, I, the Shariri, who lives in the Sharir, also does not get destroyed. And in this verse, the first verse, the Lord is giving the Guhya Rahasya, the deep secret. And he's telling us, you're so confused. Before this also, when the Lord talked, let's turn back once. Arjuna Vacha, and there it is. Let me get to the verse where the Lord starts talking. There are two more verses, right? Shri Bhagavan Vacha. In this also he rebukes. Verse number 2 and verse number 3. What does he say? He says in verse number 2, Arjun, how are you behaving like this? At this moment, the moment which you have been waiting for so long, you are behaving in a very unmanly manner. You are behaving like a coward. And this is not the time to behave like this. In fact, the behavior you are showing is going to lead not only to the demise of your noble nature, it is not going to give you any kirti in this world or entry to the heaven also. So the Lord is surprised. We pleaded and we cried, isn't it, to get this human birth. Species after species. We wandered. You knew me hum ghume. Finally, we get what we were looking for. And now, the field is ready for us to help ourselves liberate. Yet, when the time has come, Dharma Kshetre, Kurukshetre, when we are standing at the battlefield, with all that we have ever worked towards, right? We are willing to back out. We are cowards. So he's saying, Kutastva kashmalabidam vishame samubastitam anarya jushtam asvarkyam akirti karam arjuna. Then he says, Klabhyam masma gamah partha ne tattva yupapadyate shudra bhridaya dorbalyam tyaktvo tishtha parantapa. He says, hey Arjun, how are you behaving like this? He calls Arjun a napunsak on his face. Okay? And he says, I am unpleasantly surprised. This behavior is not right. And he's saying, I do not understand. Where does this weakness, from where has this weakness entered you? Stop it now, says the Lord. Khade ho jao ab. Utho, lado. Just imagine, the first two verses, the Lord is like what? And then when he starts talking, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, 11th verse. Asocyanan vasocastvam pragyavadansha bhashase Gatasudagatasubscha nanusochanti panditaha. Lord is saying, तुमने शोक ना करने योग्य का शोक किया है अर्जुन, और विद्वता पांडित्य की बातें कर रहे हो. कह रहे हो कि you're talking like a very wise man. And he goes on to say the second line, जिनके प्राण चले गए हैं उनके लिए और जिनके प्राण नहीं गए हैं उनके लिए पंडित लोग शोक नहीं करते अर्जुन. So he's saying, you talk like a wise man, but your actions are totally different. कहता कुछ और है, करता कुछ और है, कहता कुछ और है, सोचता कुछ और है. Get your act right, अर्जुन. तुम पंडित नहीं हो, तुम्हें पांडित्य नहीं है, तुम्हें विजडम नहीं है, तुम्हें सांख्य के बारे में पता ही नहीं है. असोच्यानन वसोचस्त्वम. You are being worried and you are crying foul about. You are in agony and sorrow for something that does not require any attention. You need not be sorrowful of what you are grieving about, Arjun. And yet, you talk like a great Gyani. You talk like a Pandit. You talk like you are the wise man who knows everything. Oh dear Arjun, says Krishna, the one who have died and the one who are alive, or the one who have died and the one who are yet to die, need not be pitied on. You need not worry about them. Don't be sorrowful about them. There is nothing to be sorrowful about over here. Just imagine. What is the Lord saying? He's totally confusing Arjun now. Arjun कहते हैं कि मतलब everything that I am talking about is totally useless. That means I do not even know what I should be sorrowful about and what I should not be sorrowful about. If I'm not supposed to grieve about the dead, nor the living, what am I supposed to grieve about then? And Sri Krishna over here is saying, if you think you're wise, he has used the word Pandit here, we are going to delve deeper in that also, you won't be sorrowful ever. There is no reason. Shok is such a beautiful word. Actually, many a times translating it into English, takes away the gravity of the word. Shok na karo, right? अब उसको grief बोल लीजिए, sorrowful रहना बोल दीजिए, you can call it whatever, agonized बोल दीजिए. शोक ना करो. हम जाते हैं ना, कोई मर जाता है तो शोक समाये बैठाई जाती है. शोक करने की कोई दरकार ही नहीं है. इस दुनिया में Shri Krishna is saying, there is nothing that should cause any shock in you because there is nothing worth being sorrowful for. Everything is happening as per the divine will. तू क्यों रो रहा है? There is a story that goes, Akhandanandji tells the story when he is explaining Geeta. And they have written beautiful verses. They have explained it so beautifully. Be it Ram Sukdas ji or Akhandanandji, or over here we are going to read from Krishnanandji. We are all gone. The irony is, चले गए ये सब. चले गए मतलब कहाँ गए? हो गए पर अपना देह त्याग के चले गए. होते तो हम बैठते उनके शरण में और सुनते. He says कि there were 10 people trying to cross the ocean. Not the ocean, let's say the sea. Ocean पार करना तो थोड़ा मुश्किल है. Not the sea also, I'm using the wrong word. A river or a lake. Lake मान लीजिए चलिए, or a river. They want to get from one side of the river to the other side of the river. And the river is quite overflowing because of the rain. So these 10 people, they form a chain, and somehow, together with each other's support, because they're the best of friends, they are able to cross the river. And to make sure that everybody is there, they start counting. They start counting. Because they need to know that all 10 people are there, right? So one person comes up and he starts counting. He says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh my God, there are only 9 of us. Again he says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Again he says, oh my God, only 9 of us. Where is the other person? Somebody has drowned. Somebody has drowned. One of our fellows has drowned. The other person said, are you counting right? Are you sure you have not made an error here? He says, no. I counted thrice. Why don't you try? Now this man says, okay, let me try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, you're right. We have lost one of our dear friends. We have lost one of our dear friends. And they start crying and crying and crying and whining and whining and whining. Finally, an outsider, okay, who's not one of them, an outsider, who's walking past, and he asks, why are you all so sorrowful? Why are you crying so loud? What has happened? So this person says, one of our dear friends has drowned and died. He's no more, and we are crying because we lost a dear friend. Now this person asks, how many were you supposed to be? He says, we were supposed to be 10, but we are only 9. Only 9. And they start whining and crying again. Now this person says, just a minute, let me count. And he counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He said, all 10 of you are there. Why are you crying? He said, no, see, I'll show you. So one of them, they stand up. One of them stands up and says, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We are only 9. Now this person just looks up and says, oh my God, this is a group of fools, it seems. He said, listen, you are the 10th one. You did not count yourself. And yet, you have been whining and crying. यही हो रहा है हमारे साथ में. We are whining and crying and being sorrowful of things. Or we are assuming there is sorrow of a kind which is not even there. There is no agony, there is no sorrow, there is no grief in this world. But because of our perspective, because of our conditioning, because of the way we look at the world, we are sorrowful. जबकि 10 के 10 थे, 9 तो हमने गिन लिए ना. So we found a reason to be agonized. So Sri Krishna is saying, Asocyanan vasochastvam. You are thinking so much, you are grieving about something which is not even worth being thought about or grieved about. Yet you consider yourself a wise man, हो अर्जुन. प्रज्ञावादाम शभाषते. बड़े-बड़े lectures दे रहे हो, बड़े-बड़े भाषण दे रहे हो. गतासून गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पंडिताः. जो है या खो गया, जो जीवित है या मर गया, इन लोगों के लिए सोचना या शोक करना उचित नहीं है किसी पंडित के लिए. So, in other words, Swami Krishnanand says over here that Arjun's question should not be looked down on. I would love to read this. He says, this dejection is not a morbid mood of a spiritual seeker. We are all spiritual seekers. I choose to believe that we are all spiritual seekers. Some of us are on the path by choice. Some of us are on the path and we know it. Some of us are on the path and we don't know it. Some of us are on the path even without choice. All of us are moving towards that divine. अगर आप मनुष्य हैं तो आप साधक तो है ही, नहीं तो आप मनुष्य योनि में आते ही नहीं. So he's saying this dejection is not a morbid mood of a spiritual seeker. It is a healthy realization of the impossibility of an individual being to face this world of values alone and the need felt for a higher assistant. This is where did this happen? In the verse where Arjun confides into Sri Krishna and he says that I am your disciple and you are my teacher. Please take me as your disciple and I will become your teacher. When he surrenders totally as a student of Sri Krishna. So he has surrendered because he realizes that solving this puzzle is not possible on his own. And when does the surrender happen? When the seeker has tried hard enough to reach a certain level. All of us do, right? Especially the ones who are seriously on this path, we try really hard, really hard. We work on our mansik sthiti, we work on our ahar, we work on our nidra, we work on our vachan. Yes, we try to keep our ahar as sattvic as possible, right? We try to keep our vachan as minimal as possible. We try to keep our nidra in control. We try to read and see good. We try to avoid talking bad. There are many lapses, but we try our best. And after a point, we realize that we need some divine intervention. It may be a guru for one person, it may be God himself for another person. Therefore, in the utter helplessness of not being able to know what actually is to be done, अब आगे मैं क्या करूं ठाकुर जी? यहां तक तो पहुंच गई, अब क्या? रास्ता दिखाओ. या तो गुरु तुम बन जाओ या किसी गुरु को भेज दो. Arjun asked, therefore, in the utter helplessness of not being able to know what actually is to be done, Arjun asked what was his duty par excellence. What was his duty in this world? This was the question of Arjun, which he conjured in various styles of expression according to the traditions of that time. Arjun asked, कि आप मुझे बताओ, what is my duty? See, many a times I've heard a lot of people defining duties. When I look at them, when I hear them, I feel that they are behaving in an escapist way. They are not willing to owe up to the divine duty towards the self. We try to justify each and every action of ours. That is what we do. It is not wrong, but just by justifying our actions, the false does not become the right, right? The lie does not become a truth, right? Can't we be good householders, yet be excellent and par excellent spiritual seekers? We can. Our scriptures have shown it. Sanatan Dharma is one dharma, but nothing has to be excluded. Dharma, arth, kam, moksha. These are the four purusharths we talk about. Dharma, we know what is dharma. Arth, money. Kam, desires. And moksha. But the right knowledge of dharma, the right use of arth, that is wealth in itself is not bad. How you earn it and how you spend it defines whether you have used the wealth nicely or wrong. Wealth is never considered a taboo anywhere. And desire. What kind of desires do you have? Sattvic desire, Rajasic desire, Tamasic desire. Or there is a desire for the Lord. And moksha to hum jante hi hai. There are 5 types of moksha. Sayojya, Samipya, Sahalokya, and so on. So over here, Arjuna is saying, in this way, in this life, Kurukshetra, Dharmkshetra. Dharma kshetri, Kurukshetri. ये मेरा कुरुक्षेत्र है, आपका भी और मेरा भी. हम संसारी हैं. We have a family, we have children. उलझते रहते हैं. That is why whenever we sit for the chanting the name of the Lord, we need to chant the Hanuman Chalisa or something so that we can detach from the word and attach to the scriptures and the Lord. हम उलझे रहते हैं. And we are not at that level. At least I am not. कि I can constantly be connected. I try my best. But when I take this asana, I feel so blessed that this 1 hour, my Lord, this 1 hour of my 24 hours, this 1 hour, I'm only going to talk about you. I'm only going to think about you. I'm only going to discuss you. I'm only going to love you. I'm going to try to understand you. Blessed to have this 1 hour where I am with you and with nobody else. So Arjun is seeking guidance from the divine Lord. And Krishna answers in this verse, right? And the first thing he says is, stop blabbering. हम सब ब्लैबर कर रहे होते हैं. We behave as if we are Pandits. We'll understand what Pandit also means. We behave as if we are know-it-alls. We behave as if we know what is right, what is wrong. We behave as if we know what is good for us, what is bad for us. हम जानते हैं क्या? कृष्ण बोलते हैं. The answer of Sri Krishna is that all this is kind of a blabber which an ignorant mind resorts to for self-justification under the impression that ignorance is bliss. Stop self-justifying yourself. हर चीज करने का एक तरीका होता है. हम अपने लिए आसान रास्ता निकाल ले तो नुकसान इसमें किसका है? Who is losing with this self-justification? Neither do you know what you are. These points are very essential. And that is why we started in the previous verse from the story of Puranjana. Neither do you know what you are, first, nor do you know what the world is, second. Neither do you know what you are, nor do you know what the world is. How do you make judgments of this kind, that you shall do or you shall not do? ना खुद कौन हो आपको पता है, ना संसार क्या है आपको पता है, ना माया क्या है आपको पता है, ना परमात्मा क्या है आपको पता है. But we will make self-justifications and we will make judgments. We are great at judging everything, isn't it? We judge every single thing. If the leaf is growing in a certain manner, we'll see ऐसे क्यों हो रही है. If a person is behaving in a certain manner, we'll judge him also. If the situation is in a certain manner, we'll judge the situation. If the sun is rising in a certain manner, we'll judge the sun. If anything around us is happening in a certain manner, we will judge, thinking that it is not happening right, or it is happening wrong, or it is happening properly. How do you know? हमें पता है क्या कि कौन सी चीज कैसी होनी चाहिए? We don't have the divine wisdom. Hence, we do not have the right to judge. Don't judge a person, don't judge a place, don't judge a thing, don't judge a situation. Don't judge, because we do not have enough data to judge. So he says, neither do you know what you are, nor do you know what the world is. How do you make judgments of this kind, that you shall do or you shall not do? Jai Shri Ram. On what ground, Jai Shri Ram, on what ground do you make a statement that this has to be done and this should not be done? What is the rationale behind the ethic, morality, and the justification for any kind of action in this world? What is the ground on which you base your arguments for embarking upon a particular project of this type or that type? What are your bases? Is it merely an impulse of the instinct, or the force of the sense organs, or the appetite of the biological organ? Or is it a well-reasoned out structure that you philosophically constructed for the purpose of rising high into the sphere of spiritual conclusions? Neither do you know yourself, nor do you know the world, Arjun, yet you speak as if you are a wise person. Pragyavadamsha bhasase. Pragyavadamsha bhashase. This wisdom that Arjun seemed to lack, due to which he wrongly judged the situation that he was facing, is called Sankhya. This is what we are learning in this chapter, right? Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga. So these questions we should ask ourselves also before we openly justify what we are doing, or we judge the self or the others. When we don't have the right knowledge, that divine wisdom, how do we know? Do you know the world we see, the world each and every person sees is very different? Even when there is a scientific experiment being done, you cannot be certain for sure about the output and the outcome. Why? Because not only the situation could be different, even the eye of the observer. Suppose it is Could be a scientist who's observing a certain specimen. His eye's structure is also different from each other. What I will observe would be very different from you. हम सब unique है. Each and every one is one of a kind. And so, there is a chance for deviation. Yet, we do not give any room for doubt. We do not give anybody a benefit of doubt. We do not give any situation a benefit of doubt. We do not give ourselves a benefit of doubt also. We judge. तो कृष्ण बोलते हैं, what is your basis, what is your premises? In other words, he's saying, मूर्ख हो क्या? कुछ पता तो है नहीं. कृष्ण यही बोल रहे हैं. See, Krishna is not mellowing down anything. Geeta is on the face. If you want to mellow it down and you want to twist it to make it appealing, it's your choice. But Krishna ऐसे बोल ही नहीं रहे. जब वो अर्जुन को मुंह पे नपुंसक बोल रहे हैं, क्लेभ्य मास बगबह पार्थ, तो फिर वो और क्या बोल रहे हैं? He say you have gone totally wrong. You are totally confused. कहाँ से चले थे, कहाँ पहुंच गए? Everything is there for you on a platter. Yet you do not understand, you do not see, because you do not know Sankhya. You do not know the philosophy. You do not know the reality. जो है नहीं उसको हम समझ रहे कि है, और जो है उसको समझ रहे कि हम नहीं है. ये शरीर हम नहीं है. But we think we are this body. We are the shariri, but we don't know that we are somebody who lives in that body. The sharir is unreal. It keeps changing, isn't it? It changes form every day. We have aged from a child to from a toddler to a grown-up child to a teenager. Again, we became youthful. Then, after that, we have totally started moving to giraffes, the old age. Persistently, this body has been changing, right? Second, our belief systems, don't they keep changing? At every point in life, depending on our situation and perception or the kind of people we come across, our thinking pattern also changes. Analyze it yourself. देखिए, we should spend time every day with ourselves introspecting. पहले मैं ऐसे सोचता था. I used to think like that. Now my thinking process is different. It happens to all of us, right? Yes, it was then. That was the way I used to think. Now I don't believe it. So and so and so has come. I have experienced so and so. Hence, my thinking process has changed. What I used to think was right, I considered it very wrong right now. This is my new belief system. Is there any consistency, any permanency over there? No. So this body is not permanent. Your belief, your mind is also fluctuating. Anything that fluctuates and that is not permanent, does not remain constant, is not real. What remains constant then? That which is observing this change, right? Isn't it? Okay, for instance, now let's take it a step forward. When we are awake, everybody is ours, right? My beta, my beti, my husband, my mama, my papa, everybody. But what happens when you sleep? What happens when you sleep? Huh? They disappear. The minute you go to deep sleep, the minute you fall asleep, what happens to this world? Where does this world go? Where do the relationships go? Suddenly there's nothing, isn't it? And many a times a new relationship starts in our dreams. So what is real? This world is real or the dream world is real? राजा जनक ने पूछा था ना, तो अष्टवक्र जी, गुरु अष्टवक्र से, गुरु ये सच या वो सच? What I was dreaming was right or this world is real? Was that real or this real? वो सच या ये सच? The dream world is real or this world is real, where I feel that I am awake. And what did Ashtavakra ji said? Rajan, na ye sach. That is this world in which you move around in the waking state when you are awake. ये भी सच नहीं है. It is not real. And na wo sach. That dream, whatever you dream of, your dream world is also not real. Then what is real? Asked Raja Janak. Tu hi sach. Rajan, tu hi sach. Now, tu hi sach does not mean ki Rajan, you, the body is such. No, the one who is observing this change, the shariri, is such. And Shri Krishna says, Pandits jo hote hai na, Pandit. Now we use this word very liberally. Every Tom, Dick and Harry is called a Pandit nowadays, right? And we will, okay, give me the name of a good Pandit. I want to get a yagna done in my house. And that yagna karne ke baad mein kuch bhi nahi hua. We did so many yagnas, but no result was felt by us. What do? Bhaiya, you did not get a Pandit. Do you know, for a yagna to be fruitful, lots of things are needed. First, the Pandit that you get has to be the knower of Brahman, right? Self-realized. Kahan milega aapko? Second, all the samagri, all the material that is being used in the puja has to be very shuddh, along with the ghee, 100% pure. Now, the samagri has to be bought by the money which is 100% pure. And the person who is doing the yagna along with the Pandit, who should be the knower of Brahman, is also 100% pure. There has to be no bad deeds associated with him. There should be no wrong earning associated with the material which is being used. There should be absolute purity in the ones who have gathered to do the yagna or the havan. Is it possible nowadays? इसी के लिए कहते हैं ना, कलयुग में नाम आधार, सुबेर सुबेर नर उतरे ही पार. कलयुग में नाम आधार, सुबेर सुबेर नर उतरे ही पार. ये यज्ञ, यागादि, तपस्या वगैरह सब वो अलग युगों की है. There is a requirement for Satya Yug. There is a requirement for Treta Yug. There is a requirement for Dwapar Yug. What is the requirement? What is the biggest form of tapas? Naam Smaranam. Shri Hari का नाम लीजिए. नाम लेते लेते ही पार लग जाओगे, because yagna yagadi is not pure anymore. Neither the person who is getting it conducted nor the Pandit who comes. Even what is a Pandit now? Why Shri Krishna repeatedly in Geeta will use the word Pandit? Now he has not used the word Brahmin Kul anywhere. Because it is not that he is against the Brahmin Kul. He has used the word Pandit. Every word used in Geeta has a reason behind it. He could have said, right, Brahmin Kul ke log. He did not do that. Why? What is a Pandit? What is the meaning of a Pandit? It is divine. Ek to Pand. Pand means ekatrit karna. It is when you start collecting things, not collecting materialistic things, okay? It is a collection of knowledge, definitely, spiritual knowledge. But it does not end at the accumulation of collection of knowledge. A Pandit, कहते हैं ना, Kabir Das ji bhi, now I understand why he keeps saying, पोथा पढ़ पढ़ जग बुआ, पंडित भया ना कोई, ढाई आखिर प्रेम के पढ़े सो पंडित हुई. पोथा पढ़ पढ़ जग बुआ, पंडित भया ना कोई. आप पढ़ लीजिए, एक पोथी दूसरी पोथी मतलब आर स्क्रिप्चर्स पढ़ना चाहिए, बट आप क्या उसको पढ़ने से पंडित बन जाएंगे? Again, beautiful stories that Akhandanand ji recites. He said there was a man who knew Geeta by heart, totally by heart, and he could recite the Geeta backward and forward both. So if we would start from the last 18th chapter, the last verse, he could go back to Dharmakshetre Kurukshetra. And if he started from Dharmakshetre Kurukshetra, the first verse of the first chapter, he could go to the last. In fact, he could recite various combinations of Geeta without seeing. He had it totally imbibed in his mind. But do you know what happened? The irony is, as he aged and at the time of the his death, he remembered nothing. Yeah, he forgot everything. He remembered nothing at all. Why? He forgot everything because it was very superficial. The learning did not penetrate his heart. See, scriptures are very essential. Rituals are important. Tapas is needed. All form of sadhana, Sri Hari over here says, karna to padega, but don't carry that burden with you. It's a very simple analogy that probably I've given before also, that we use a needle to remove the thorn, right? Suppose we are out in a garden and a thorn gets into our heels, into the sole of our leg. So what will we do? We'll come home and we'll take a needle like we used to, our dadis used to do it, slowly remove the thorn and put away the needle, right? But the problem happens here. What happens is, we use the needle to remove the thorn. The thorn is rajas and tamas. And we use sattva. What are sattva? Tapasya, sadhana, fasting, monvrat, scriptures, satsang, guru. Guru ka sang, sat ka sang. But what happens is, we forget the purpose of the needle. The purpose of the needle was to remove the rajasic and the tamasic tendencies. And now we have all the sattvic tendencies in us. But to go to the higher, to become a pandit, to become the knower of Brahman, we have to get rid of the sattva also. This also becomes a burden after a while. Many a times we get so lost in the Guru that we do not look at the divine. The Guru says, don't get lost in me. I'm only showing you the path. You look at him. Don't look at the figure. Look at where the figure is pointing. This happened, right? This was a story between Buddha and Anand which we had done, where Anand got liberated after Buddha left because he realized that his attachment to his Guru was holding him down. So over here, Sri Krishna uses the word Pandit because a Pandit is a person who is not only the knowers of the Shastras, who has done all the tapas, who has done all the sadhana. Mind you, we are not Pandits. Let's not ape anybody saying, okay, nahi karna padega. Many people do that. No. The sadhana and tapasya and all these scriptures are not needed. They are needed till you get rid of rajas and tamas. To get rid of rajas and tamas, तपस्या करनी पड़ेगी, व्रत करना पड़ेगा, साधना करनी पड़ेगी, ग्रंथ पढ़ने पड़ेंगे. And you will know when it is time to move beyond these also. But to know, you have to do your sadhana. There is no easy way, there is no shortcut. That is what he says. He called us blabbering mouths, right? We blabber and we self-justify. Most of the time, I hear people say that, no, my duty is to be a mother. Do you know what is the duty of the mother? My duty is to be a wife. Do you know what is the duty of a wife? My duty is to take care of my elders. Do you know what is the duty? What kind of actions are to be taken to take care of your elders? पता कुछ है नहीं, justification करते हैं. Basically, many of the sages say, when in doubt, don't turn to anybody else. Don't even turn to your own self. Your own conscience has been killed by you. Totally destroyed, totally gone. It has been destroyed by repeatedly quietening it, right? Whenever the inner voice wants to say something, we quieten it. So it has been killed. So where do you go? Look at the scriptures. And whatever they are saying, please apply it. And we should remember that each and every point, each and every decorum, for each and every ashram, for each and every relation has been mentioned in our scriptures. Brahmachari ko kaise? Brahmachari is before marriage, we are all brahmacharis, right? So brahmachari आश्रम में कैसे रहना चाहिए, बेसिकली द बच्चों को कैसे रखना चाहिए, बच्चों को कैसे बड़ा करना चाहिए, हाउ शुड द चिल्ड्रन बी रेज्ड. एंड आफ्टर दैट द गृहस्थ आश्रम, वी आर ऑल गृहस्थीज. हाउ, व्हाट इज द डेकोरम ऑफ अ गृहस्थी, व्हाट शुड ही डू, हाउ शुड हिज इनकम बी डिवाइडेड, हाउ शुड ही लिव, हाउ शुड बी द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन अ हस्बैंड एंड अ वाइफ, what should be the restriction, what should be the decorum followed, how should he behave with the elders and how should he behave with the youngers. All has been mentioned in great detail. And this goes on to Vanaprasthis and sannyasis also. Unfortunately, the so-called sannyasis today also do not follow the decorum of the sannyas ashram. हम तो फॉलो करते ही नहीं है क्योंकि वी फील गृहस्थ बीइंग अ गृहस्थ और लिविंग इन द गृहस्थ आश्रम गिव्स इज द green card to do whatever we want. So over here, Sri Krishna is saying, stop blabbering because your blabber is baseless. When you are in ignorance, you do not know anything. How can you judge or justify? How do you know what is right and what is wrong? How do you know what should be done and what should not be done? You're talking like a pandit. So now we know one element of what is a pandit, right? Now, what is a pandit? Who can be called a pandit? एक तो है knower of Brahman, ठीक है? What other characteristics justify somebody as a pandit? So what we see today all around us, by name we call them pandits, but we have to ask ourselves, do we gloat about our past achievements? Like we are like, हमने ऐसा करा जिंदगी में, I was so great, I did so much of charity, I helped so many people, I was excellent studies, I've been such an excellent human being, I've always been kind. If that kind of gloating about yourself is there, you're not a pandit. But if you whine about your past also, right? If you're unable to forgive others and yourself and you keep whining and reveling about, I had this, I did this, I had a life like this, so much injustice was done on me. If you go through this shok, this is sorrow of what happened in your life, you're not a pandit. So basically, till you rejoice or cry foul about your past life, you're not a pandit. Because you're not in the moment anyways. You have not surrendered to the Lord. You have not told yourself whatever has to happen has happened the way it was supposed to happen. जो हुआ उसे वैसे ही होना था. There could not have been any other way. So there is no guilt about the past. There is no gloat about the past. So that is one characteristic of a pandit. Ask ourselves, do we have this characteristic in us? The second is, how do we see other people? Is everyone a different individual or is everyone Brahman to us? किससे बादू बैर जगत में कोई नहीं पराया, हर मानव में प्रतिबिंब लेकर उसी भ्रम की छाया. Look around you. What do you see? Do you see my son, her son, my husband, her husband? This is a servant. That is my friend. This is how I treat you. That is how I treat them. This is mine. That is yours. Or when you look around, all you see is that divine walking and talking in different forms, in different ways. Every situation is but his leela and his play. What is there to cry foul about? Thakur ji khel rahe hain. He is enjoying his game. He has taken different forms. He is acting through different people. But deep within, it is the same divine. We have had sugar candies, right? I don't know. Or any candy for that matter. Many a times, biscuits also. Like in a pack for children, there are biscuits of different shapes and sizes, right? There could be a bear, cornflakes, everything comes with different shapes to entice children, isn't it? So it could be having a shape of a bear or an elephant or a strawberry. And one child will say, no, I want all the bears. The other will say, no, I want only the strawberries, this and that and everything. Right? I do not want any other shape of biscuits. But ultimately, what is it? It's biscuit. The main component is the same. For instance, you take a sugar candy, right? Different forms of the sugar candy. It could be a bear, it could be a fox, it could be a lotus. Now children again start arguing, saying, I want the lotus, no, I want the bear, no, I want the wolf or whatever, fox or whatever. Then finally, what does the mother do? She said, okay. She takes some milk and she puts the bear, the fox, the lotus inside the milk. What happens? It sweetens the milk because ultimately it is all sugar. Where is the fox? Where is the wolf? Where is the lotus now? The person who understands this, who sees the world as but that divine and nothing else, that divine who has taken various forms, is a Pandit. In that situation, there is no mine or thine remaining. There is only one. When we look at the waves, from up, there are various waves which are coming up and going down, isn't it? We can count endless waves. Waves hit the shore, then they die. Waves hit the shore, then they die. But ultimately, deep within, tell me one thing. Does the wave die? No, right? Small wave or a big wave, a strong wave or a weak wave. A wave very far or a wave close to the shore. All these waves are but the ocean. They are the same. From the surface, when you look, they look different. But when you take a dip into the ocean, go a little deeper, all you'll see is an endless stretch of water. That is just one. A Pandit does not see the difference anymore. He has gone deeper to understand that everything is one. So he's saying, Krishna is saying, you're talking like a Pandit, but you're not behaving like one. Think about it. So is what Arjun saying justifiable? Think of it. So he's not at all a Pandit. Shri Krishna is saying, जो पंडित होता है ना, उसको शोक नहीं होता. The one who is the knower of the truth, the one who is wise, the one who is a Pandit. Please, Pandit is not a profession. And Pandit is not defined by the kul in which you are born or the varna in which you are born. These varna system, which is nowadays called the caste system, has been so deeply misinterpreted and it has been given to us in a very ugly form. Just by being born in a Brahmin kul, you're not the knower of Brahman, right? Just by being born in a Vaishya kul, it's not necessary that you'll be a trader. In the same way, this Pandit could be a part of any varna. He is a Viveki. He has discrete thinking. He knows the self. He is beyond the ripples that are seen on the lake or the waves that are seen on the ocean. He knows that deep below everything is but one. And when you know deep below that everything is but one, everything is the Lord's Leela, everything is happening as per His will, where is the reason to be sorrowful? Says Krishna. This verse is very deep. We'll have to continue it next week again. श्री भगवान वाचा है, ठाकुर जी को समझना इतना आसान तो है नहीं ना. We'll delve deeper into the meaning of the other things that he is saying. Today we worked on what is the meaning of Pandit. We worked on elements of sorrow. We worked on how we justify ourselves unnecessarily without knowing anything. इसे कहते हैं ना, अंधेरे में हम तीर चला रहे हैं. That is the condition of all of us. But Shri Krishna is here. He is going to help. Sankhya Yoga. Chale. We'll continue the same verse in the next session. And a humble request. Calm your mind down before listening to or reading any scripture. And after reading also, calm yourself down and ask permission to get out from it and act in this world again. There will be a point, there will come a point when we do not need this transition anymore. We'll always be in that state. But till it happens, it is best to follow what the scriptures say. Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Shri Krishna Govinda Hari Murari He Nath Narayan Vasudeva He Nath Narayan Vasudeva Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Hanuman Ki Ram Lakshman Janaki Jai Bolo Ab Hanuman Ki बोलो भक्ति के अवतार की जय. जय श्री राम, जय श्री कृष्ण, जय हनुमान, जय हनुमान, जय हनुमान.